Love is our true destiny. We do not find the meaning of life by ourselves alone. We find it with another. Thomas Merton. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 18 of Commoners Honing All Disciplines podcast, the Valentine's Day Blues. So, obviously, Valentine's Day is coming up. The Monday after this comes out, and yeah, that might be a good thing for some people. That might be a somber occasion for others.
Mhm.
So we're just going to talk about Valentine's Day, the origins, what it's become, and then we're going to talk about women.
Yeah, this is a very exciting episode for me. Um, it's very, I like the way I want to preface it is, as you're listening, um, if we say anything that's out of pocket, just understand while you're listening to this, you need to make sure you take literally everything we say out of context. Like, make sure you take it out of context, right? Like, don't be smart and try to make context so it makes sense. No, no, no. Definitely take it out of context, because that's what smart people do. And just just go with it, man. Just be like, wow, these guys are stupid as fuck. If you're deciding to take things out of context, which is probably stupid. So I'll preface
Which
it with
is
that.
inevitable.
And it's inevitable, so we're just going to preface it with that. The people who take things out of context are stupid, so when they do it, they know that they're stupid. Anyways, I'm really excited about this episode. I have a lot of, I wouldn't say experience, but I have a lot of, like, I don't know, general knowledge about, like, dating, romance, what it means to actually pursue a woman, how that changes as you get older, from like high school to college, and then like, or university, and then afterwards, it does change that process and into the workforce. A lot of people, they start dating someone from their work, and it makes sense because you're probably very similar to the people who work in your field, right? So we're definitely gonna go into dating in, those different parts of your life and how that changes, right? So we're going to start off here with a little bit on the origins of Valentine's Day.
hmm Yeah, so excuse me, it's kind of been lost on people with the modern Valentine's Day being so consumerist and just full of crap. And we'll get into that after. But yeah, the Valentine was a saint. Uh, Basically, during the late third century in the Roman Empire, um, you had Christians being persecuted all the time during this period because it was before the Constantine reforms and the legalization of Christianity. Um, and at the time, the Emperor Claudius II um, believed that soldiers would be more effective if they weren't wanting to go back to their families and their wives. So they actually banned Roman soldiers from being married, which is kind of extreme. Um, so what Saint Valentine did, he married Christian soldiers in secret so that they could have wives still, despite the ban on marriage. So
Let's
as a
go.
result, we celebrate love on the feast of Saint Valentine.
This
Um,
reminds me of a very similar situation happening right now, but not as extreme as not being able to marry, but you know, banning certain things so people can't do certain things. Yeah, that's a very
mm,
interesting historical parallel there. Um, but anyways, Saint Valentine was a total Chad, and
Total base Chad.
only Chads can become saints. Um, I think that's actually probably holds pretty true. Only Chads
Hmm.
and Stacys can become saints. So if you want to
I
become a
agree.
saint, you got to get right with yourself so you can get right with God. Um,
And be a Chad.
so yeah, St. Valentine's Day was supposed to be about marriage. It's about marriage and commitment and real love, not like, you know,
And now they have discounts on sex toys and disgusting,
yeah,
all manner of disgusting things on Valentine's Day.
yeah,
It's
it's
pretty
it's
sad.
it's it's been totally perverted from what the original thing was about. Very sad, very disgusting. It's
Which is satanic, by the
commodified.
way. It's
It is
it's an
satanic.
inversion.
It's a total inversion, perversion of what like we're supposed to be doing as good humans and good Christians. And this is how we're gonna not do that this year. This is how we're gonna make sure you don't fall into the same traps this year. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't celebrate the day. I'm just saying you should celebrate it in a way that's honorable, right? So if you're not dating someone, I know there's probably not too many bars and clubs open in Canada right now, but don't just go out looking for like a cheap hookup because you're lonely. Don't do
Mm.
that, man. It's not worth it. Go and become the man you would want, to be while pursuing women. So if you're not
The
dating
man you'd want your
someone,
daughter to marry.
yeah, exactly. That's actually a really good way to look at it. That's a very simple
Hmm.
and easy way to look at it. Um, so look at that and say, "Am I there yet?" Chances are you're not, and you may never be, but at some point you say, "Okay, I'm good for now. I'm good with myself. I'm good with my partner, um, my girlfriend, my wife, whatever. Eventually, wife." And you can say, "Okay, I'm gonna, make a commitment now because I can, because I have the strength to do it, and hopefully have the financial means as well eventually." So I guess we'll start with like, you know, what to do instead of just looking for a cheap hookup or something stupid and unnecessary on Valentine's Day. Well, why don't you do something you enjoy? Why don't you go out with your parents, right? Oh, it seems embarrassing, blah, blah, blah. Well, to who? Because
Mm.
your parents have raised you, they've taken care of you your whole life. God willing, they've been good parents and they've done that for you. Why don't you treat them to something? Why don't you treat them to something good because they committed to you, right? Not it through an act of love, not through an act of romance, but an act of pure love, hopefully. They committed to
Hmm.
raising you and they weren't perfect, but no people are, and they probably tried their best, hopefully. So why not, show some love to them back? I think that's very respectable. That's a very
Yeah, it's
respectable
also one
thing
of the
to do.
ten commandments is that you should honor your parents. And if, if,
Yeah,
if you make the day just about celebrating all love, not just romantic love, then you can make the day about your love for God and your love for your parents.
yeah,
If you don't
exactly.
have any romantic partner yet,
Yeah,
I think that's a
that's
good
a great way
idea.
to put it. Or you can just, if that's not feasible, just give them a call, whatever, give them FaceTime, and then do something that you enjoy, right? Do show a little love to yourself, it's really cringe when people say stuff like this, and I really, I hate the wording, but I do agree with the idea that you need to take care of yourself in one way or another, right? You need to say,
Yeah.
I just need a break from this stuff right now. I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat a good, nice meal, and I'm going to do whatever I enjoy. I'm going to play a video game. I'm going to watch a movie. If you'd like make art, you can make art. If you like just scrolling on Twitter, kind of let yourself just enjoy the day. Um, Show a little bit of love to yourself there. Take care of yourself. You got to stay sane, right? How are you going to date people if you're insane and you can't, take care of yourself? Like, it's part of hygiene, the idea
Date
of
someone
like,
else who's also insane.
yeah, not good, not good. But it's the idea of hygiene goes beyond the body. You have to have hygiene for your brain and you have to have hygiene for your soul. Um, And that's one of those things where if you take care of yourself and you're honest, like that's like soul hygiene, that's like mental hygiene. It's really good for you. And it's good for others around you
Mm-hmm.
because when you become a better person as an individual, the world becomes a better place. And it's actually that simple, right? If
Yeah,
every
so
individual
true.
becomes better, the whole world will become better. So why not start with yourself? And this gets into why you shouldn't do things that, let's say corporations and elites in the media and elites in power want you
Why
to do.
why did the elites want us to have multiple partners?
Why do they want you to watch porn? It's a very good question. And the whole
Yeah.
idea is one, lack of control, lack of impulse control, lack of commitment, the falling apart of the strong man. It's easy to control a population and to keep people down essentially when they can't essentially keep it in their pants.
Yeah.
Um, and there's historical truth to that. Like you can look at a lot of empires have collapsed simply because people have not been able to keep it in their pants. They've done
So true.
rampantly degenerate things that are totally gross even by today's standards as much as we accept in today's society, which maybe not everyone accepts. I certainly don't, but it was even worse then than it is now and they collapsed. So I'm sure we are not so far away. But anyways, this leads
Yeah,
into
it's a thing, it's a big part of being like a man, in my opinion, is just if you can control that urge, you're already like
Mhm.
better than 90% of the other men
Yeah, and
because
you
you've got
stand out.
you've got reins on it, right? It's like
Mhm.
that's the strongest urge you have, and now you can control it and direct it. Like you're super
Yeah.
powerful at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's the idea of like if you and I think of it like a calculation. My brain just works that way. But imagine you spent like, I don't know, 1 to 2 hours of your day just thinking about like sex and just thinking about like deviant thoughts and all that stuff and you actually put
Yeah.
time and energy into that. Dude, that's like 2 hours of your whole day for like years. And it's
Hmm.
chances are if it's not with like another girl, if it's not with like your wife, if it's not with a real person, it's just gonna literally give you brain damage essentially,
Literally.
and then waste your time, and then you're gonna have to essentially spend time fixing that in the future. To scare you guys about like porn usage and all that stuff. I think it's 50% of men over 40 have erectile dysfunction.
Hmm.
50%. And most of those men, it is not because they physically cannot get it going. It's because
Yeah.
mentally they
It's
cannot do it. They have given themselves essentially brain damage from overusage of sexual content. So stay away, resist, resist, resist
yeah.
with
I,
all
I
your
know we
might.
talked about porn before, but like it's really important, fellas.
Yeah, fellas.
Especially I'm yeah,
Brothers,
our audience is just the fellas.
just the fellas.
Actually, like if you spend Valentine's Day jerking off, I'm gonna find you and like literally slap you because
Real. That's real, by the way.
it
That's
is real, by the way.
he's like
The
the Valentine's Day Santa Claus. He's gonna come down your chimney
Yeah,
and beat the crap out of you. That's the
actually,
Valentine's Day Santa.
no,
If
like
you
honestly, if you spend Valentine's Day on a porn site, like get out
boo,
of my face. Like
you
you
should
you
feel bad.
failed.
I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not big into shaming people about certain things, but you should feel bad,
Last
man.
maybe
Like
maybe you did it last year, but this year, since you listened to this, you
do
better not.
something different. You better not,
Because I
man.
know
Do
they
something
do like
different.
free premium or whatever.
It's
Like
gross,
they
man.
entice you, but don't get sucked back in.
Don't get sucked in,
Um,
bros. Do something. You know what's a good idea? I know how we were saying do things you enjoy. Do something you enjoy outside. Do something you enjoy
yeah,
away
it's a good
from your
idea.
cell phone potentially. If you're really struggling with that habit still, do it away from your phone. Do it away from your computer, right? Do something you go hang out with friends that are single, right? Or even, you know what, as bad as it sounds, if you have a group of friends that want to go out on Valentine's Day, go with them, observe their relationships, see what they do right, see what they do wrong. You should talk to your friends about this. and be like, hey, what do you kind of do for date ideas? What do you kind of do for this? How did you guys, if you don't know, how did you guys meet? Um,
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
just it's a good idea to gauge other people because modern dating has changed so much, and you'll get all levels, like I was saying, of like people who met in high school, people who met in college, people who met after college and uni at work. Um, it's good to get those levels of like what happens because I can tell you for a fact in high school when you get friend zoned, it's like the end of the world.
It's
Like when
over.
you
It's
call
so over.
it's so over, right? But in college and university, it's not as bad because if the woman is a decent woman, being friends first is good because you gauge how you are with each other and just like kind of hanging out and not really doing anything, just doing things like that aren't even dates necessarily. It's not that bad. It's like courting, right? It's the idea of like courting, which is good. It's very good. I like that. It's very traditional in that sense when you're
Yeah,
able to
according's
pursue
based.
a woman and maybe she's being pursued by other men, but like, how can you be the one who she wants, right? What can you do to be the one that she wants? And at the end of the day, there it might be way out of your control, and that's the reality, right? That's why you have to be okay with yourself. That is why 100% why you have to be like really good with yourself before you decide to attempt to commit another with a woman because she may still reject you, she may still leave you, she may still cheat on you, like all these bad things may still happen, but at the end of the day you have to be the rock in which
Yeah,
says I'm only going to tolerate like reasonable behavior. I'm not going to tolerate unacceptable behavior, and as you go through time you'll know what that is. You will know what that is. That's why experience is a good idea. Listening to us for sure, listening to other podcasts. Dr. Phil has a really good podcast on marriage and dating, and if you want to get serious about that stuff you should definitely listen to someone like him. He's been married, just out of experience, he's been married for like 50 years, and him and his wife have a very good relationship based on the way they talk about it.
hmm
I hope that's real, right? But he still does have the
hopefully.
psychological knowledge, um, so you can listen to someone like him with pretty good confidence. I think his podcast got weird later in the year because of like COVID stuff. Like he kind of went like, "This sucks right now, so I'm gonna just take a break," which is fine, right? It really messed with a lot of people's heads, especially in the beginning when people were afraid. Um, but yeah, you definitely check
Yeah,
out
I've
that
never
one.
listened
It'll
to
interest
Dr.
you.
Phil's podcast, but
It's a bit of a more mature audience, obviously, because it's about marriage. But
hmm
I listened to it and I got a lot out of it. I got a lot because it helps with dating, right? The idea is like, what the hell are you dating for if it's not for marriage? So why should you not know what's supposed to be good in marriage so you can practice it while you're dating? It's not that complicated.
makes sense.
Same with like being a mother or being a father. What does it mean to be a good father? So before it happens, you can at least attempt to practice it. Same, yeah, like being a good woman, being a good mother. It's the same thing. You have to practice these things before you can get good at them. Yeah, practicing them in marriage makes more sense, but doing it beforehand um, is probably going to lead to a better marriage, arguably.
hmm Yeah, a lot of people do marriage counseling before they get married. I think it's a really good
Hmm.
idea because
I
then
think it's
you're
a great
both on the
idea.
same page. A lot of people have the block though in their mind, like, well, we don't need counseling if we don't have a problem. But it's like doing it preemptively might actually
Hmm.
be the thing that saves you later. Like, could be years later. You would have been more more happy. Might even save your marriage the fact that you did that preemptively.
And this is also the problem with emotional love is that it can blind you to certain things, and that's why you need to know what you can tolerate and not tolerate in a relationship. You like need it's like vital information to know what you do not want. And
hmm
marriage counseling, preemptively, couples counseling, even if you don't have a problem. I know in the Catholic faith, before we do marriage, they have marriage classes and they'll have
Yeah,
individual sessions with people. And I think that's a phenomenal
I think
idea.
that's a really good idea. Yeah.
And it really helps people be like, oh, okay, this is what they mean, like what marriage really is. And a lot of people don't really think about what marriage really is. Like people think about like the wedding day and the honeymoon, and dude, you're spending like, you have to realize, and I'm not saying this to scare anyone, I'm saying this to show people the reality. If you believe in marriage truly, you're going to be with the same woman for 50 plus years. The looks are going to fade. Um, like the spark. No, it's true, and yours will too,
No,
right?
I
And
know.
and this spark of attractiveness may fade a little bit, but the whole idea is like the person you want to marry, you have to be attracted to like their heart and their soul. You have to be attracted to every part of them, right? And again, there's gonna be parts of them that you don't necessarily like too much, but as long as it's not intolerable, it's still worth marrying someone for. So, you know, obviously you got to do your own thing, and people got to do the counseling. They got to put in the work. Like it takes effort because it's a worthwhile endeavor. That's the whole point. Everything that is worthwhile takes effort. I'm going to say it again because sometimes guys don't get this. Everything that is worthwhile, anything and everything, takes effort and a hell of a lot of it. So you better be prepared. It is not a joke. It is not a game at the end of the day. Yeah, being like a pickup artist, doing cold approaches, all that stuff. It's important to find a woman, but the once you're in a committed relationship, you have to not play a game anymore. You have to actually perform. You know what I mean? Like it's the real
Hmm.
deal now. Everything you've learned has accumulated in how can I be a good boyfriend? How can I be a good husband? How can I serve properly and be fair to myself and my spouse, my partner, my girlfriend, right? Yeah, so with that, I think we can get into the levels of dating, but just before that, the thing
The
everyone
hookup
has to
culture.
hear, but no one wants to hear, especially the Chads who can corner 80% of the market of women, and there's
Mm.
only 20% of them, which is pretty based, not gonna lie. Good for you guys, but save some for the rest of us kind of thing. That's what I'm gonna say basically. Save some for the rest of us. I know, people make their own decisions, um, right? And you have
That's
to.
kind of blackpilling though for most
Yeah,
dudes
it can be
when they hear
blackpilling
that.
unless you are the Chad, and then you're like, I'm
Yeah,
good. But yeah, like it sounds
but
bad. It's really not
it's
that
not the end
bad.
of the world, right?
Yeah,
That's what we want to get into. Is that
it's
if
more
you're
related
not,
to like dating sites, you know, Tinder,
yeah,
Bumble,
as long as you
all
stay
that
off
crap.
Tinder, it doesn't really become a problem.
No, not as much. Not as much. Because, and this is an important factor, and this is what guys don't get, is women don't care about how you look as much as you care about how they look.
Hmm.
Many men fail to
Except on
realize
dating
this,
sites.
except on dating sites, and that's the problem with them. Is because it's a perversion of like what girls, essentially what women look for
Hmm.
in marriage, is not necessarily looks. As long as you're decent looking, as long as you're like average, you can get almost any woman. Um, if you're smart, if you're funny,
It's
obviously
true.
money helps. You're financially secure. You're confident in yourself. You're confident in your life experiences. You've dealt with whatever regrets you've had. You've worked to change them. So, that's all you need to know. That should give you guys a lot of hope, right? As long as you're average looking. What does it mean to be average looking? You're not too overweight. You're not too skinny. You do your hair decently. You trim your beard. You have good hygiene. That's pretty much all it takes.
Yeah, most of it
You
is
know,
just effort.
and for some
It's like,
people, to be fair, for some people, um, unfortunately, not everyone's blessed to even be average. So for you guys,
mm,
I'm sorry to say, you have to be more yourself than anyone else. Like you have to be unapologetically yourself more than anyone else, more than anyone who's average or handsome. Like you just have to be you. Like for guys who are, they might have some sort of disability, for guys who are like, have some sort of handicap, like dude, that's fine. That doesn't make you less of a man. What makes you less of a man is taking that and saying, I'm not going to be everything I can be with my limitations. That's what makes men men. Is with all my limitations, I'm still going to reach for the highest aim I can. I'm not going to let
Yeah,
things stop me that would otherwise stop other people. Fuck that shit. You're better than that. I hope you listen to this and realize you are better than that. And you deserve to be better than that. But you got to put in the work to do it. Because, like I said, if it's worthwhile, it's going to take effort. And I think it's worthwhile to go beyond whatever limitations you'd have physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to be a better man, to be a better person. So that's for all my boys
being
out there who
being
don't
black-pilled
have the
is
same
cringe.
blessings. Yeah, being blackpilled is cringe because there's people in a lot worse situations than you who get way more girls. So grow the
So
fuck up,
true.
stop being a loser, become a volcel, um, become a Chad, become an average looking Chad. It's not hard, right? It's not. I'm not gonna say it's not hard. It's hard, but it's worth it. So bust your ass out there, boys. Put in the work, put in the hours. It is about drive. It is absolutely about power. So you know what you got to do.
Gotta stay hungry. You gotta devour.
Exactly. Fuck, that's an old meme at this point, man. That's gonna make. That's
I
gonna.
know. I
Does that
know.
age me? No, it's not that old. It's not that old. You can throw that in there once in a while.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Also, um, this is an important tip. Uh, you know, quirked up white boy, goated with the sauce, bust it down sexual style. If you get that, you get it. You know what I mean? It's not over for you. It's totally not over for you if you get that one thing.
Yeah.
anyways, anyways,
Okay. I can't even remember what I was gonna say now. Something about.
oopsie.
um. Yeah. No. Okay. I remember. Basically, um, the contrast between meeting a woman in real life and the internet. When you meet her in real life and you walk up to her, you are the only person that she is thinking about and can see
Mm,
at that point. On the internet, she has literally thousands of other men to choose from. So why would you put yourself in those odds? You're either the only one or thousands. And obviously, this has um, kind of subverted women a little bit. Like, I don't know if that's the right word to say, but
yeah,
basically,
it's
it's
like
kind of subverted their perception because they
too
think
many
they have so many
options.
options.
Even
Yeah,
for men, though. Even for men, though, it does harm to both sexes. Like
true.
like there's way too many options to choose from. It can really put men in a position of like what's it called, indecision, which is not good as a man. You do not want to be hesitant. You do not want to be indecisive. You want to
Have you
be
ever
that's why
seen
you
a
have to know
woman's
yourself.
Tinder? Like from her perspective, it's literally like literally thousands of men,
Yeah, I can imagine, especially for more
like
attractive women, right?
thousands of messages. Just it's weird. It's a weird
And
thing to
it's
look
not
at.
good because half most of the time she's not going to meet like even like a tenth of that.
Yeah,
Like probably less
not
than
even
a tenth,
close.
probably like 100th of that probably. She's gonna actually pursue and meet. But it gets
Well,
in like a woman's head that like she can get any guy and she might want to be with any guy. And that's not
hmm
good because you end up with
she might
one.
want to be with
Most
every
people,
guy.
yeah, most people end up with one. They end up monogamous. So don't think because you can pick all these multiple partners that you won't still end up with one and that won't have consequences on your future. And this goes for men as well because as much risk as there are for women in hookup culture, which there's much more, STIs, STDs, whatever you want to call them, pregnancy,
hmm
the potential
Brain
like,
damage.
you know, actual physical damage and abuse because men can do that, right? They can still do that just because you've chosen a man who's handsome, whatever, he can still abuse you. Um, Men can be, and they can be emotionally manipulated. Same with men; they can be emotionally manipulated too,
True.
but they're less likely to be emotionally manipulated. And same with abuse; they're less likely to be abused. It still happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but and you still get the STIs, you still get the STDs potentially. Um, it skews your idea of sex. It skews your idea of like the what a woman actually is, rather than I guess it sounds kind of cringe, but like that for me, the idea of a woman is like someone to be cherished and someone who you can actually give yourself to. And if thousands of men have given themselves to her, why would you want to give yourself to that too? You're like
What's that
you're a
thing? It's
drop in the
like
bucket.
um, a good a good key opens many locks, but a shitty lock is opened by many keys or something like that.
Yeah, and I know it sounds bad, but like the reality of the situation is it is easier for women to get men than it is for men to get women. And
Hmm.
it's actually just that simple, right? Women have, and this is what pisses me off too. Women have all the power when it comes to this shit, and they fucking relinquish it like it's nothing. They think
Mm.
it's empowering to relinquish it. It's bullshit. Women, take your power back. Keep it in your pants, and you'll have men fawning over you. That's when men really simp, right?
Hmm.
That's when they really start to simp. And I'm not saying men should simp, but women, understand you have power. Understand you can have your simps and choose the man who says, I want you regardless if we can do all that shit right now. And, you know, you want a man that can resist that charm and just says, I want you for you. And that, I hope that comes with all the other benefits of that,
Hmm.
right? That's why men, you have to be able to say, yes, women have the power, but I have the power to resist. So it balances out there, right? So it's very
That's
important that
interesting.
women hear that.
So I want to explain the difference to people of how the male female brain works and kind of like the whole phenomenon of the simp. Because you can kind of really get into that. It's like basically you, you see women online, they've got hundreds, even thousands, depending on how many followers they have, of men who are just like giving them constant attention. And what it is, it's like these men are just saying, "I will commit to you right away," because women want commitment the same way that
Mm.
men want sex. It's the same
Ooh, good. That's a good way to
psychological
put it.
process. Yeah, so basically, all these men are coming in and saying, I'll commit to you right away. And she's like, well, I didn't have to do anything besides exist to get you to commit to me, so why would I be interested? So if this is the key to not being a simp, is don't commit to a woman right away. Be slow to commit and,
Mm.
be hard to get, I guess this is normally what
Yeah,
people
and
say.
that's the men's power, right? Like the woman's power is the idea that she can give out, um, as fucked up as it is, she can essentially validate men and be like, I can and give out like sexual pleasure right away at any point in
Hmm.
time, and validate the male's idea that like, oh yeah, I can get girls, I can do this, I can do that, blah blah blah. Committing is the hard part for men.
Yeah.
That's the point. Committing is the hard part. So if you can do the easy part, it doesn't make you that much of a man. It's kind of ingrained in us to do that naturally, right?
Hmm.
And I'm a Mediterranean guy. You know, you know how it is, right? There's a very high sex drive there, and you would know what to do without porn. Trust me, you would know what to do. You don't need nothing teaching you. Okay, you don't need to watch it. Trust me, it's very innate for Mediterranean dudes, and that's why you have to have the power to say no, because we are
I'm
simps. We can be simps if we allow it to happen.
I'm a
Total
Nordic guy,
simps.
so I'm autistic.
Yeah, Scandinavian dudes be like semi-autistic but super Chad because they're like, I just don't care what women say to me. I'm not gonna like give in, which is super
Literally
based.
me.
It's like an anti-simp gene, which makes them like totally epic. So we don't have that. We have to like resist the simp nature, resist the simping urge, and
Yeah,
it's
like if
cringe.
you ever you see like a guy with like a rose in his teeth and he's like playing the guitar for a woman, it's always a med. It's always some
Yeah.
like Mediterranean guy,
I
Spanish,
was a med guy,
probably.
and that's cringe. That's cringe, right? That's like a total like peacocking bullshit. It's like, do that. If you do that for multiple women, it's cringe. If you do that on a romantic date, your girlfriend's gonna like you even more. That's the difference, right?
Uh, one
You're
one
choosing the
policy that
commitment.
I think you should have. never compliment a woman until she compliments you first.
Ooh, that's actually good. That's a good one. I don't really have that.
That's
I'm
usually
again
usually
simp.
my policy.
I'm like a half simp, quarter simp,
A
whatever you want
quarter
to call
so
it. But that's a good policy.
I'm 1/4 so sorry, that's funny.
A
Uh,
quarter simp. Yeah, a quarter simp. It's in my genetics. It's in my DNA. I actually got a ancestry.com. It's like
mhm.
75% Italian, 25% simp. Uh, but yeah, like just fight that urge to just like be romantic right away. Fight the urge to just like hand out compliments like it's nothing. But when you're
Yeah.
in a relationship, you want to kind of have the give and take of like, yes, you should compliment her. You should be initiating.
Yes.
This is a
Yes.
big thing.
That's
Like in the relationship, you have to be initiating. At least I would say if you're doing a mathematical equation, 2/3 of the time to 3/4 of the time, you have to initiate like romantic things of all kinds. So
mhm.
physically,
That's what she
dates, all that
wants.
stuff. And she should initiate some because it's important that there's a give and take. But it is the man's. I do believe it is the man's responsibility to initiate most of those interactions. So a good majority, again, 2/3, which is about 60% to 75% or more to a quarter or to 80%, right? So 60 to
Mhm.
80% of the interactions that you guys have, you should be initiating, right? Um, and we haven't even gone into like shit tests, man. I don't even think we're gonna get into like shit testing today because that's just a whole nother.
Probably not.
That's a whole nother game. That's like the whole idea of like the competition market and
Yeah. I mean, we,
oh
we
yeah,
knew this
let's
was going to
just
be a long episode, probably multiple
yeah. It's
episodes, just because
there's
there's so
definitely
much
gonna
here.
be a second part to this of the stuff we didn't talk about. Um, So I guess we kind of talked about hookup culture here. We kind of talked about commitments. We talked about the idea of women who respect men who reject them, and men respect women who are able to choose a committed partner rather than give themselves to multiple uncommitted partners. It's very
Hmm.
telling of a woman to be able to do that, especially in today's society where it's so
Yeah,
for men and women where
especially.
it's so rampantly pushed that like you need to be with multiple partners. It's like that's total cope. You don't need to be with multiple partners at all. It's good to have. It's good to date multiple people, but you don't need to have multiple sexual partners. You should have dating experience. Um, you know, the idea that you need to be having all this sex with people is ridiculous. The point of that is you're using the reality is if you're not going to commit to someone and you're having sex with them, you are using someone else as a tool for masturbation.
True.
Simply put, you are essentially using like you see a girl as a flashlight, and that's like really messed up, dude. It's
Hmm.
so bad to view it like that, and a girl can see you as like a dildo, basically. It's like, what the hell, man? Is that what I am? Is that what you are? Do you want to be treated like that too? Like, are you like some men will say, yeah, yeah, of course, because they want the
Yeah.
pleasure, right? But at the end of the day, imagine you're treated like that in an actual relationship. You're really gonna want that. Yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah, you're really gonna want that when she's trying to raise kids and you're trying to make money and that's all you're gonna want in the relationship. Yeah, you're not gonna want support. You're not gonna want like love and care and mutual respect
Hmm.
and mutual effort. No, you're gonna want just physical things. Yeah, okay, man, sure. Convince yourself of that. When you're 30, see if you want the same things, dude. I don't know. I don't think it'll be like that, but
No,
whatever.
definitely not. I think most people do actually want the real, like you said, a real relationship that's not just that, but they're so empty and like I don't know why it's pushed so often that you need to do that first and then get to the other stuff when I think a more natural relationship comes from, it follows. You meet them, then you get to know them, then you decide you like them, then you maybe get married and then you do that.
Yeah, it's like the idea of like this is my issue with like the fact that people are becoming more mature and financially stable later in life. Their sexual maturity is very clearly changing as well in a weird way.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
so
interesting
don't be
too.
afraid to be patient. Don't be afraid to wait. Like, don't be afraid to be like, I want to. I don't want to do anything unless it's with someone I actually genuinely love. That's a very good policy, right? In terms of like waiting for that stuff. I don't condone premarital sex at all. Um, but if you're going to do it, and obviously I couldn't stop you, I'm not going to stop you. If you're going to do it, do not do it with someone you do not love in any circumstance. Don't do it just because you don't want to be a virgin anymore. There's a
Hmm.
power in the idea that like you've resisted the temptation of women for a long amount of time. There's a power in the
True.
idea that you've resisted pornography for a long period of time. Um, and you have that power, but you have to decide to use it, right? Because once this is a problem, people are like, "Oh, I want to lose my virginity so bad," blah blah blah. Once it's gone forever. You cannot get it
Hmm.
back. I don't care if you're a man. You've broken that like seal essentially. And a woman, it's there's physical consequences to that too in a woman. So like, women get way more consequences from this stuff. And you as a man, because you're strong and you're dependable and responsible, should not perpetuate hookup culture. If you're a good man, you should not perpetuate it. Dating is important, being friends with women, especially when you get older, and it's like you want to be like kind of have a base for that relationship to flourish, right? You have to be like, what do we have in common? What don't we have in common? What do we like to share? What do we don't like to share? Are we independent? That's a big deal, right? Are you independent as you
Hmm.
get older? In high school, chances are your relationship tends to be codependent, and that's normal. And a lot of people like high school sweethearts, they can grow out of that, which is really good, where they're like, yeah, we need to be more independent, and we both agree, and we both communicated this, and we want to have a better relationship in the future. So we're kind of gonna take a break. You don't have to break up, but you can be like, okay, maybe we should be alone for a while, and say, I don't want to be with anyone else, but we should be alone for a while. And that's actually very normal for high school sweethearts to at least break up like once or twice, before being in a fully loving, committed relationship like marriage. It's very normal because, like I said, there's all these options, and you change as you get older, and you don't know if your partner's changing with you. You don't know if with all these circumstance, and it's hard. It's very difficult to say I want to commit to one person when you're like 16. It's very difficult, right? But when you're
Hmm.
25, you go, oh, I know a lot more about myself now. They know a lot more about themselves now, and we can know if like we want this or not, right? And if you don't want something, this is insanely big. This goes for men. This goes for women. If you no longer want something, as much as you've put in effort into the relationship, as much as you tried, as much as you've improved each other and you've improved as individuals, if you don't want it anymore, just tell the person. As hard as it is, it's better to tell them that you don't want it anymore early on than you keep leading them on. And then after a year and a half, they're like, how long have you not wanted this? And you tell them you haven't wanted this for a year and a half, man, they're going to feel like shit. And you're going to feel
Hmm.
stupid as hell. So if you start not wanting someone, give it a month maybe, give it a couple months, feel it out. If it really doesn't come back, if you really can't feel the spark, you can't have that passion anymore, and you've tried, and you legitimately have tried, you've gone on dates, you've been romantic, and it's just not there, tell them. Tell them sooner or later. Feel it out, but really tell them sooner or later because, it's not worth wasting their time, and that's what being a good person is about, is right. It's like making hard decisions, and especially if you've been with someone for a long time and you've seen a future together, and you really expected something more to come out of it than just dating. You really expected marriage and you just don't want them anymore. Like there may be nothing you can do about that, and you have to accept that and
Mm.
straight up
That's
it
the
sucks
sunk
balls.
sunk cost fallacy too. You get into, well, I've been with
Yeah,
them for this long, so I've already put in this much time. I might as well just try to stick it out, even if it keeps getting worse.
yeah.
But that's obviously not. It's always better to just um, cut your losses if you know it's not going to work.
Yeah, and you have to be fair to the other person too, right? Like the idea is
Yeah, you.
relationships are like I say 100%, 100%, because the idea is you both put in equal full effort towards a relationship. Sometimes it's 120% to 80%. Sometimes it's 60% to 140%. Sometimes it's the other way around for the partners, right? Like you have to try a bit more because someone's going through something or whatever. Um, you're both putting in like that equal 100% effort. And if you're not doing that, if you don't have the motivation to do that, you do have to be honest. And Valentine's Day is coming up. Um, it sucks to be broken up with on Valentine's Day, but it's better than having a fake like date with them. It's better than like anything you could do that's not authentic. Being authentic is like number one. You have to be you all the time. Whatever that means. You have to improve yourself so you can become a better version of you. You can have more precise language. You can have better communication skills, or you can be physically stronger, you can be mentally tougher because you're willing to withstand adversity rather than just be comfortable. You can improve in all those ways, but at the end of the day, if you're not authentic with your feelings, because you can't control your feelings, all those other things you can control, your mental fortitude, your adversity resistance, your physical strength, your mental fortitude, your intelligence, right, your financial stability. That's a little bit out of your control, but you can like lean towards better chances with financial stability. But with your emotions, they come as they please, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
choose how you react to them. That's what it means to be mentally strong and mentally reliable. That's what it means to be the most reliable person at your father's funeral. Is the idea of like, you're going to be sad. If you're not sad, there's probably an issue. You're going to be sad. How can you use that sadness to honor your father's memory, right? How can you use that sadness to be reliable in that situation, right? Take your time to mourn, but when like push comes to shove and people need someone they can rely on, you have to be that person. Like that's a very simple way to put it, and that's a modern way to put it. But the idea is like, I guess the ancient idea is like, invaders come to your door. Are you prepared to fight to the death for your family and your neighbors and your village or your country? Um, it's really been kind of dumbed down, and I would hope we can come to the point where we become so reliable we are willing to fight for our country and our families and our, and Christ ultimately, fight for the
Mm.
ability to worship. But, you know, that's being a man has kind of been reduced to, unfortunately, simply being reliable in difficult situations. But I guess the principle still holds true. It's just the metaphor changed. The principle
Oh, that
definitely
was
holds
that was
true.
well said. Yeah, you have to be able to fight for all these things, not just one aspect. Being a man is about being a whole multitude of things um, at the same time, which is difficult, but it is difficult to be a man. That's just a fact. Um,
And it's worth
we're
it.
gonna get into the yeah, oh yeah, worth it 100%. And it is worth it to find a wife, I think,
Absolutely.
because
I would say as much as the risk is, the fear of divorce, the fear of separation, the fear of your partner dying, the fear of falling out of love, as difficult as all those things are, the idea that you may be able to spend the rest of your life with someone who you genuinely love and who genuinely loves you, and you can share essentially everything, and you can have children together, right? You can share your love so much that you can create new life. That is the most, I think that's the most powerful thing any human can do, right? And evolutionarily, that's like the biggest success story is like, you're able to be committed enough, you're able to be strong enough that like a woman is who is also strong and also committed is willing to have children with you because they can trust you. It's very
mm,
Darwinian, but it's also very like, that's like having children is like the part of like human life that's like so vital to humanity, because like obviously we don't have children, humans will just die out, right? So very simply, like having children is like the most human thing you can do in a way.
yeah,
it,
and
it
obviously you need a woman to do that, but not just in the physical sense. You need the woman um,
mhm.
to support you for this. Like
Yeah,
it, the woman was literally created for man. Like I don't care if that sounds
from man,
sexist. From man,
from
for
man
man.
for man. And man's existence obviously because women exist now is for women. That's
Yes,
that two-sided thing, right? Is, the man has to be strong enough to do his side of that job and support the woman in his way and be the foundation and be the rock and be the base, right? And be the man and woman from man, right? Literally from man. So if you're a bad
yes,
man, you cannot get a good woman. But if you're a good man, you can get a great woman, because whatever you give her, she will multiply. She The idea of like
that is true.
man planting their seed, um and it's very human, the idea of like, if you have a great woman, she will want to have many kids with you, she will want to spend a long life with you, right? She will want to love you and cherish you for a full life. And if you're a crappy guy, good luck with that. Good luck with that, dude. So
Mm,
you really have to put it in gear. You got to kick it into overdrive. You got to get as good as you can. And I guess that's when you should not be seeking a woman, is like, I'm not prepared to pursue a committed relationship right now. That's when you should say, I'm not going to pursue women. Yeah, it can sound sucky and it can be like, well, what if I meet a woman? It's like, that's fine. If you meet a woman by chance that you really like or you really connect with while you're in this phase, like, you can talk to her, just, do the thing I was saying, just be friends, just hang out, like, be independent, and then get to know her and see what happens. Courting, like, you have to do the courting, right? This modern
hmm.
courting is like whatever, texting, calling once in a while. And you know dating has changed so much from 100 years ago to now. It's like, how the hell are humans
Yeah,
coping with it? It's very clear we're not doing a very good job of coping with it properly. So if we can make a
no, we're
slight
not.
difference to if we can make a slight difference to how men and women treat each other and act, and how they should treat each other, which is like, dude, this is like, at the end of the day, it's still another human. And like, the point is, all human life is sacred. So you have to try to at least respect that. Even if you're like, I really don't like this girl, I hate this girl, she's really annoying, she's really a horrible person. And same goes for men.
Mm,
It's like, it's still a human life at the end of the day, so be authentic with it and just let it go.
yeah,
Don't be
that's a good
vindictive.
point.
Don't be vindictive. This revenge bullshit, like, grow up, man. What are you, a
Yeah,
bitch?
that's cringe.
Dude, grow up. It's like, okay, the girl cheated on you, move on. You're not going to gain anything from trying to get revenge. You're not going to gain anything. Like, women do a lot of these. I've seen women do much more petty things when guys cheat on them than when men cheat on women. Unfortunately, sorry, I've seen a lot of more petty things coming from women when men cheat on them versus when women cheat on a man. Usually, when a woman cheats on a man, he goes, "That sucked. I
Yeah,
hate this. We're
he just
breaking
gets
up."
really sad.
It's that simple, because he was like, I'm ready to commit, and you're being a hoe. You're being a trick ass
Mm,
hoe. You're being a trick ass bitch. Nah, I
nah,
don't play that game.
nah, son.
Nah, son, I don't play that game. And you leave, right? That's some Kevin Samuel shit, probably. Like, but if a guy cheats on a girl, the woman, like, like, you know, whatever, try to ruin his life potentially, and
Crazy. Yeah.
just be crazy. I've heard way more. Not that men don't try to do this stuff, but I've just heard way more instances of women doing this stuff anecdotally. Um, that's why, as a man, to be honest, I understand how hurt women get when they do this. Although they do petty and irrational things, they're like
Hmm.
in a lot of pain, man, and you cause
Yeah.
that. So don't do that. It's not
No,
that hard, right?
obvious. I mean, yeah, it's like it's so obvious. Don't do
It's so
that.
obvious. It's like, they reacted poorly, but you caused the reaction. Not that it's your fault, but like, you could have just
Well,
not done that.
that's the masculine feminine relationship. You've done
Yeah.
something, and then it's like she multiplied it.
Hmm.
So, like, what did you expect? You brought this negative energy, and now it's like, wow, an explosion of more negative energy because that's what women
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So, if you
That's
had
right.
been different, then she would have been different too.
Yeah. Men have to realize they have to be more responsible. We have to be more responsible. Society even agrees. Society says men have to pay the child support. Society says men won't even get the custody necessarily because, um,
Hmm.
they can't handle it, right? Because you have to prove a lot more as a man to get custody than you do as a woman, right? As a mother. And women get less jail time for the same crimes. Like, it's very clear that men are treated with more responsibility for whatever reason. Um, I think it's simply because men were like just more responsible for longer periods of time. I really think it's BS, like the double standards of custody, and like financial support, and like going to jail for the same crimes. It's BS. Really, it is BS. I'm not a feminist. I'm not a meninist. The whole point is like, are we? If we are saying that men and women are equal, should we not bear equal responsibility for our actions?
Mhm.
And it's very clear that does not happen. It's very clear that men are blamed for much more in society, and for good reason, and I'm okay with that. But then we have to
Yeah,
say,
me too.
well, if men are getting more responsibility, it's very clear they have more power and they should not abuse it, and we should all, as men and women, hold men accountable, which I agree with. But the problem
I
is,
also agree.
women want to hold men accountable and do whatever they want and not be held accountable, which is total
Hmm.
bullshit. So if we're all going to be held accountable, I'm fine with that. If men are going to be held more accountable, I'm fine with that. But recognize that means men have more responsibility as well, right?
Yeah,
So
remember
cut them
it's
some
called
slack in a
this
certain way.
the first sin. Eve was the first one to eat the apple, but it's called the sin of Adam,
Hmm.
right? It was still him. She still convinced him to eat the apple, and he should have been had the
More,
leadership to say
yeah,
no, right?
it is their
So
responsibility. Like men have to. That's why you have to initiate things. That's why you have
it's
to
kind
be
of like
like doing the most effort.
people might get mad, but it's like a canvas, right? Like if you make a bad painting, you're not gonna say it was a bad canvas. The woman
Hmm.
being the canvas in this case, it's like you're a bad
Yeah.
painter. That's what you need to realize.
Well, yeah, because like the idea is like the traditional idea is like men essentially give or like put something out there, and women
Mm.
choose to receive. Like that's very clear
Yeah,
humanistically,
that's
right? Like
like
just based on our biology, that's how it works. Men put
yeah.
something out, and women, God willing, are choosing to receive something, right? So, and it has to be, it can't be forced, or else you'll not have a good relationship. That's why, like,
No.
it's like it's very clear how much harm you can do if you force yourself on someone. It's very fucked up to be like, I have all this power, I'm going to
Yeah.
abuse it. And it's like, dude, you're a piece of shit, man. The whole point of having power is so you can make the world a better place. And if you're gonna abuse that,
Hmm.
like fuck you essentially. Like you have to be better. We have to
Yeah.
be better. We have to show the world that we are better and we earn the responsibility we get. Right? We can't just get the responsibility and not live up to it and not, you know, do the right thing. We have to earn the responsibility. We have to earn the respect that men deserve. And that means self control. It means being
Yes.
honorable to your parents, being honorable to your friends, being an authentic person, saying no when you need to, saying yes when you
Mm.
need to. Like just being in control of yourself is the baseline for your ability to do good. I think that's the best thing I can say on what it means to what it means to be responsible as a man.
That was well said. That was good. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a good place to end it. I think we will cover topics like this and similar to this in the future, just because it's so deep and there's so many different branches you can go around. So yes, thank you everyone for listening. By
Happy
the fruit.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, but happy
Happy
Valentine's Day, of
Valentine's Day.
course.
Enjoy.
Enjoy yourself, but don't masturbate or I'll slap you.
Or else Santa, Valentine's Day Claus is gonna smack you
Yeah, I'm
or
gonna
beat
come
your
down your
ass.
chimney and beat your ass. Yeah, stay away from porn. Such an important message. Okay, let's end. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Galatians 5:22.